Isn't space a frightening place? To link that sentence a little closer to our immediate environment, astronauts continually worry about losing bone due to lack of gravity and the additional risk of cosmic radiation sickness while they are in the Earth's orbit. And as one goes further out, some planets are unwelcoming, some too hot with poisonous gases, and others too cold with ice-covered surfaces. Even light cannot escape the gravitational pull of star explosions and black holes in some parts of space. Nebulas that contain neutron stars are present, with other sites hosting even larger magnetic bodies like red hypergiants and spinning pulsars. Scientists do not understand most of the universe's composition. Mostly, of course, these extraordinary occurrences arouse our interest, and we are filled with wonder and amazement and a scientific curiosity that is quite primitive, much like our ancestors who first sought to find out what lay on the other side of the mountaintop. If you ponder over it deeply enough, you will soon realize that compared to the content of the universe, the Earth is just an insignificant dot. After all, as far as the universe is concerned, the Earth is where we comfortably live cosmologically speaking. We shall ignore the wonder of scientific curiosity for a moment and instead take a terror tour through the cosmos to come face to face with some of the scariest things space and the universe can throw at us. 1. Ghost Hand of God. Reaching through outer space is a glowing green hand, almost like a zombie, while it tries to grab a bright red light cloud. The question here is whether this is a massive space zombie that is having a meal. No, it is not. NASA classifies it as the Hand of God Nebula, referring to the fact that it represents a pulsar wind nebula created out of material ejected from an extremely dense star left over from when it had exploded as a supernova. NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory photographed this stunning astronomical phenomenon known as the Pulsar Wind Nebula PSRB 150958, or Hand of God, as viewed from a distance of 17,000 light-years away. This nebula is located in the Circinus constellation. This nickname is derived from its shape, which looks like an extended hand with fingers wrapping around a glowing red cloud. The Hand of God is not a huge cosmic monster. Rather, it is the product of a powerful astrophysical phenomenon. Inside, a pulsar rotates and transmits electromagnetic waves. The diameter of this particular pulsar PSRB 150958 equals 19 kilometers 12 miles, although it performs one full rotation within 7 seconds at the same time. Moreover, it should be noted that such pulsars originate after stars finish their life cycle using catastrophic supernova explosions. When the pulsar rotates, it produces an intense magnetic field that pushes charged particles to near light-speed velocities as they move along spiraling magnetic fields, causing the emission of X-rays from these particles. This results in a hand-shaped, convoluted medium full of gleaming dust particles. The hand seems to clutch a crimson cloud, this being RCW89, another nebula glowing in the red and infrared light. The interplay of the pulsar's wind with the surrounding material creates intricate shapes and vibrant colors observed in the nebula. This image of God's hand is powerful and portrays great forces of the universe at work alongside aesthetic pleasures, which could be accorded to dead stars. This nebula is a testament to the ongoing cycle of star birth and death, where remnants of exploded stars can create stunning cosmic structures that capture the imagination of scientists and the public alike. 2. Screaming Skull. This terrible visage seems to be a screaming face amid an excruciating death caused by fire. But in fact, no actual skulls were harmed in the making of this picture. The picture is an X-ray image of a cluster of galaxies called the Perseus Cluster taken by the Chandra Observatory. That famous X-ray photograph of the Perseus Cluster you mentioned is an image taken by NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory represents this massive system of galaxies, which can be found approximately 240 million light-years away from us. The cluster looks like a face of darkness, or some might say it's an evil skull with a mouth wide open shrieking in pain while surrounded by flames. The spooky appearance is a result of the complex interactions and phenomena occurring within the cluster. One of the most massive objects in the universe we know so far is the Perseus Cluster. Multiple galaxies, plenty of hot gas, dark matter, as well as plenty of gravitation pulls everything in this system. The cluster is named after the constellation Perseus, where it is located. X-ray astronomy involves viewing objects in the sky in the form of X-rays, which are released from very hot gases and energetic processes. One of the best developed X-ray telescopes is the Chandra X-ray Observatory, which was launched by NASA in 1999. It picks up X-rays coming from high-energy areas in the universe, such as galaxy clusters, black holes, etc. In simpler terms, in the image of the Perseus cluster, what looks like a face is not an actual face, but a form of pareidolia. This occurs when people believe that either colors or shapes closely resemble familiar objects they know about. Eyes and mouth that appear to be such are places in the cluster, where there are differences in levels of X radiance. The image displays bright regions which signify where hot gas, that is, to the tune of tens of millions of degrees, shines in the form of X-rays. In the cluster, this hot gas is the filler of intergalactic spaces. Shock waves and sound waves traveling through a gas cluster give rise to complex patterns as well as peculiarities in a picture. These emissions come as a result of different interactions, such as the one between NGC 1275, a central galaxy with a supermassive black hole, and other galaxies. Jets and outbursts, including ripples and cavities in the hot gas, are generated by black hole activity. The darker regions and filaments are areas with less dense or cooler gas. The outbursts from the central black hole create these structures, pushing away the gas and forming cavities. Monitoring the impact of the central black hole helps in understanding how black holes interact with their surroundings. The gas, which emits X-rays, can be used to determine the amount of dark matter in the cluster. By studying clusters like Perseus, we can learn more about how big things such as stars are made or how they change over time. As a powerful reminder of the dynamic and sometimes violent nature of the cosmos, the hauntingly beautiful X-ray image of the Perseus cluster is illuminating. It underlines the interaction between abundant celestial bodies and vibrant actions that fashion our cosmos, giving a visually stunning view and a large amount full of scientific facts about how much space it occupies. 3. Eye on Jupiter. NASA scientists gazed at Jupiter and Jupiter gazed back at them. This Hubble space image from 2014 portrays a dark pupil in the center of an eye on this enormous planet. Though the black circle is Ganymedes' shadow, the particular time when the photo was taken made Jupiter appear to be a space cyclops. One take from the Hubble telescope in 2014 presents a fascinating shot showing celestial body arrangement. The one shown in the picture is Jupiter, but it has an eye-like look, as if it were a cyclops from space due to being aligned with its moon, Ganymede. One of the biggest moons in the solar system is Ganymede, the biggest moon that orbits Jupiter. Ganymede can sometimes be seen passing directly in front of Jupiter from the viewpoint of Earth, and this is how it casts its shadow on top of the gas giant's cloud. Whenever Ganymede passes between Jupiter and the Sun, it casts a shadow on Jupiter's cloud tops that looks like a dark spot on Jupiter's atmosphere as seen by Earth, or space telescopes such as the Hubble telescope. The shadow's dimensions and form are determined by where Jupiter, Ganymede, and the Sun are located concerning one another when it is observed. In the instance of the 2014 Hubble image, the timing made it so that Ganymede's shadow was positioned at the center of Jupiter's observable disk, making it appear as if there is an oversized eye or a space cyclops. This occurrence is rare and visually appealing due to the complex orbital dynamics of Jupiter's moons, making the alignment usually not often ideal, just like it is here. Apart from revealing its beauty, images such as this one offer important scientific information. The exact time and features of these shadow transits enable astronomers to use them to gain more understanding of the Jupiter-Moon orbits and its atmosphere dynamics and learn even more regarding the physical characteristics of Ganymede itself. Astronomers are constantly astounded by the gorgeous views and interesting discoveries across the universe that the Hubble Space Telescope provides. These astronomical glimpses enable them to gain deeper insights into our solar system and its surroundings, as well as offer them a different angle on cosmic occurrences, such as the space cyclops photograph of Jupiter and Ganymede. 4. Halloween skull in space. How did a skull end up in space? A radar image was captured using the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico on October 30th, 2015, showing asteroid 2015 TB145 that NASA believes to be a dead comet. The astronomers found out that the asteroid moves and that its rotation is 2.94 hours, which means that it reflects only 5 to 6% light from the sun landing on it. This creepy asteroid was headed for the Earth, but it flew past the planet without harming anyone. However, its appearance resembling a skull in radar imagery ensures that it will never be forgotten. The spinning asteroid is shown in the photograph. Observe those dark regions that appear to be two empty eye sockets. The diameter of the asteroid was approximately 600 meters, and the rotation period was about 5 hours. The radar images displaying the asteroid spinning were collected at the Arecibo Observatory situated in Puerto Rico. A viral sensation grew off a GIF, among others, showing the skull-like features of this asteroid, leading to its common name, the Great Pumpkin. Researchers 2015 TB145 is a dead comet, that is. After many orbits around the sun, the object has lost all its volatile substances and now consists only of a dark, rocky nucleus. To contribute to the sinister look on radar images, the dark carbonaceous substance may probably exist on the asteroid's surface. Researchers, through the encounter, managed to obtain credible information on the asteroid's size, shape, and rotation, enhancing further their understanding of asteroids amongst other cosmic materials which could harm them. Despite its bizarre appearance, The asteroid did not pose any danger on our planet when it passed close by, therefore remaining an interesting example to illustrate interestingly sinister solar system objects. 5. Witch Head Nebula. In this chilling picture taken by NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer-WISE, it appears that a witch is laughing into the void. The nebula in the infrared image is called Witch Head Nebula because it appears to be a profile of a wicked witch. The Witch Head Nebula, located approximately 900 light-years away in the Uranus constellation, is a good example of a reflection nebula referred to as IC 2118. It derives its name from an appearance that specifically looks like the typical profile of an evil witch, complete with a long pointed nose having a hook at the end, and also with a sharp chin, as if sending out a wicked laugh into the void. NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer-WISE took a spooky and beautiful photo of that nebula using infrared light. Normally, dust makes it impossible to see invisible light. It can't stop infrared light from shining through this fog, so we could detect some specific shapes and parts others stay covered with. There is, therefore, a capability that makes this satellite zoom into the nebula's fancy curves and strands, which make it look like witches' faces. The Witch Head Nebula is illuminated by the bright nearby star Rigel, part of the constellation Orion. It stands out against the blackness of space because of the intense ultraviolet light emitted by Rigel, causing the nebula to glow at infrared wavelengths. The blue invisible light pictures of the Witch Head Nebula are a result of the reflection and dispersion of Rigel's light by dust particles in the nebula. In infrared, the colors are different, due to which the dust and gas composition and structure are revealed more distinctly. This nebula belongs to a wider molecular cloud complex, and its shape is formed by radiation and winds from close stars. These forces will gradually wear away and scatter away the nebula material over time, altering its appearance. Its scary face, which it's named, is a testimony to the fact that the only constant thing in the universe is change. To summarize, the celestial object known as Witch Head Nebula is a captivating phenomenon that mystifies many people because it appears like an evil witch laughing maniacally. Infrared observations carried through instruments, such as WISE, offer vital tips concerning the composition and content of these nebulas, hence making it possible for mankind to apprehend how stars interact within their surroundings in a more advanced manner. 6. Eye of Sauron is watching you. The nebula around the star Fomalhaut is compared to the threatening Eye of Sauron from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, and it inherently bears resemblance to this very look-alike. Fomalhaut, as it is commonly referred to, is one among a cluster of stars found at the balmy southern fish that is located approximately 25 light-years away from us, generally known as Pisces Australis. The star system, surrounded by a massive disk mainly composed of dust and debris, forms an illusion of a colossal eye when watched from the Earth. Lit by the light generated by the star, the disk glows as the dust and gas surrounding it gets heated up and forms an eye-like structure in which the star at the center acts as the pupil. This further enhances an eye-like impression due to dark areas found within the disk where lesser light reaches. In The Lord of the Rings, the depiction of the Eye of Sauron is vivid and scary, as the author describes it, saying, rimmed with fire, watchful and intent, and the black slit of its pupil opened up on a pit, a window into nothing. The way the Fomalhaut Nebula looks might be captured well with this picture. The fire-like circular edge is an example of glittering dust and gas standing out around the center star in comparison to the star as the pupil in Sauron's eye that is watchful amidst some darker regions. One of the reasons why Fomalhaut's dust ring is particularly interesting is that, along with Fomalhaut B, a discovered exoplanet, it is assumed to be one of the first planets outside our solar system ever seen directly. Because of the presence of the planet itself, as well as the exchanges in the disk, there is a conflagration of various factors, making it seem like a complex structure has been created or is forming there, and that is why the whole system represents an interesting object in astronomy. Fomalhaut, bearing much resemblance to the Eye of Sauron, is an interesting idea, showing how in natural cosmic processes we find symbolistic imagery, often used in human culture and literature. This bond develops our understanding of the beauty of space and man-made things that result from such imagination. 7. The face on Mars. Even though NASA has not discovered any extraterrestrials on Mars, NASA did detect an eerie resemblance to a human face there. The first image of face on Mars was taken on July 25, 1976, by NASA's Viking 1 orbiter in grayscale. Despite NASA's assurance that there is nothing more than mere rocks piled up weirdly to form this face, it remains hauntingly eerie. One of the Martian surface's most famous and curious characteristics is the face on Mars. It was first observed by a NASA spacecraft orbiting around Venus in 1976 when it was mapped for the first time. There was something on it that seemed like two eyes, a nose or mouth, as well as what looked like hair growing out from its top, which made some people think it looked like us. And this is how people began talking about it excitedly all over. A mound that looked like two eyes, a nose, a mouth, and an interesting hairdo was displayed. The chance of a monument being on Mars caused a lot of speculation among alien enthusiasts. NASA's Mars Global Surveyor went back to inspect the bizarre formation in 2001. On closer examination, the higher quality picture exposed that this was nothing more than a fascinating mound of ground material in the shape of a face. The Viking 1 image was released and immediately captivated people's imagination. Some even went to the extent of claiming that this face is an edifice left behind by more advanced creatures from outer space. These beliefs were spread through various written works, TV programs as well, and journal articles, hence advancing what is commonly referred to as anomalistic psychology, the science that studies perception errors attributable to the existence of familiarities within defamed areas, which is also referred to as pareidolia. Many researchers were skeptical regarding the artificial nature of the face from a scientific perspective. But then again, this is because people are hardwired by evolution towards facial recognition, so much so that they tend to see faces everywhere, including on concrete aspects of life. In 2001, NASA's Mars Global Surveyor revisited the face on Mars with a more advanced camera that could take photographs of higher resolution. The fresh images revealed that the outline was an alleged hill or plateau, not some man-made structure. Furthermore, its face-like appearance comes from distortions in the light, resulting from the camera's poor focus in the Viking probe days. These high-resolution images showed that the so-called eyes, nose and mouth were natural geological features involving hills and valleys. The hairstyle effect was also due to shadows from the rough ground. When the light conditions were different and resolutions improved, a facial illusion disappeared. The resemblance of a human face on Mars represents how human perception can be misguided by patterns in nature and how scientific research can reveal the truth. After the Viking probe's picture was published, people came up with various guesses regarding whether some extraterrestrial objects were lying hidden beneath its surface. Nevertheless, later space vessels showed that this object was just a natural Martian mesa in the end. Lessons drawn from this are how significant critical, rational thought and research of any sort are in dealing with events of nature, and that whenever someone makes a statement, he or she must have undeniable proof. The face on Mars is a good example when referring to the significance of high-resolution images, and at times when our eyes may deceive us using illusions. 8. Black Widow Nebula. That's the biggest black widow, a giant red space spider. But it won't harm you, so no need to fret. Strictly speaking, it's nothing but ashen clouds embracing a starlight. The magnetic giant red space spider, you mean, is possibly a vibrant nebula that has held the minds of scientists and ordinary people because it looks like a creepy spider. Nebulae are gigantic clouds of gas and dust that float around in space. They assume all sorts of shapes and sizes, more or less looking like things or beings that are conversant to us right here on Earth. A good example of a nebula like this is the Tarantula Nebula, also known as 30 Doradus, situated in the Large Magellanic Cloud Milky Way's satellite galaxy. It is the most actively star-forming region in the local group of galaxies found within our cosmic neighborhood, hence making it an interesting object of astronomical research. This nebula occupies an area approximately 1,000 light-years across and shows such brilliance that it becomes possible to observe it directly through unaided human eyes from our planet, even though its distance from us measures roughly 160,000 light-years away. The presence of ionized hydrogen gas is what causes such nebulae to have a red coloration. When young hot stars are formed inside these nebulae, their intense ultraviolet radiation results in the ionization of surrounding hydrogen gas that leads it into mainly red spectrum light emission. This results in what is referred to as hydrogen alpha HA emission, responsible for giving a characteristic red glow observed in numerous nebulae. The elaborate interlacing, which forms the imposing structure of the Tarantula Nebula, results from a mix of stellar winds, radiation pressure, and gravitational forces. Furthermore, stars that are enormous produce powerful gusts of wind that model the nearby gas clouds, leading to their present thread-like or cobwebby presentation. The Tarantula Nebula, though it looks scary, cannot harm us like all other nebulae. It is the place where stars are born and helps astronomers understand how stars are formed together with the way the interstellar medium circulates. This allows us to view into far cosmos through telescopes and advanced imaging devices, enhancing our comprehension of the world as well as where we stand. 9. Zombie star explodes back to life. Tycho, which is also called Tycho's supernova remnant SN1572, is a fascinating and dramatic relic of the stellar explosion that was observed by the Earth in 1572. The star, known as Tycho, used to be a white dwarf or remains of an exploding supernova. At some point, the dead star had accumulated too much mass from another neighboring star and exploded as a Type Ia supernova. The Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe has extensively studied this event, so much so that it is a significant matter historically, with which he is associated contributing to the naming of the supernova. The white dwarf that used to exist in this system and was essential for this supernova event is what we are referring to as a zombie star. A white dwarf is the leftover core of a star that has run out of fuel. Usually its size is comparable to Earth's, yet its mass is close to that of the Sun. In a binary star system, a white dwarf may attract material from its neighbor. If a white dwarf collects sufficient mass, there is some point when it reaches a critical threshold called the Chandrasekhar limit, which is around 1.4 solar masses. When the white dwarf approaches its limits, its core gets to very high temperatures and pressures and reaches a point where uncontrolled nuclear reactions start. Thus, it's a type La supernova, which causes great destruction since it blows up completely, thereby dispersing matter that formed it out in the air while emitting intense brightness. Due to its uniform luminescence, the type La supernova serves as a benchmark for universal distance measurements in astronomy. The Type Ia supernova included the supernova of 1572, which Tycho Brahe observed. This explosive shell of gas and dust is now a remnant, which we see as Tycho's supernova remnant. It can be noted that this remnant is in the constellation Cassiopeia, which is approximately 10,000 light-years away. Looking at Tycho's supernova remnant has given us some useful information about what happens during a Type Ia supernova. The detailed pictures taken with telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope and Chandra X-ray Observatory show the remnant's intricate internal structure consisting of specific gas leftovers in the form of gas knots and filaments. The very idea of the term zombie star is clear that the white dwarf, which was once a dead remains of a star, becomes resurrected by acquiring more mass from its partner star. This mass donation overstepped its ability, leading to an extraordinary explosion known today as a supernova remnant. In other words, the white dwarf's destructive final act works as an example of how it returns to its active movement again, impressively and forcefully as a star. By studying the supernova remnant of Tycho, astronomers can gain insights into some aspects related to Type Ia supernovae, such as triggering conditions of explosions, and materials that are ejected, among others, that play a crucial role in refining models for how stars evolve and making better use of these events and marking distances between galaxies. To sum up, Tycho's supernova remnant is an intriguing illustration of a Type Ia supernova that involves the remarkable revival of a white dwarf star followed by its explosion. This has produced abundant material for scientific research, as well as historical importance. 10. Eye of Afun. In March 2015, astronauts on board the International Space Station viewed Typhoon Maysak from an incredible point of view, which was transitioning into a Category 5 storm. Furthermore, the appearance of the eye of the storm taken by European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti was so mesmerizing that it was beyond belief. From space, even from a distance that appears to be safe, one can still see how powerful this kind of formation can be. The rain and lightning were concealed by the clouds. The astronauts could see Typhoon Maysak in all its magnitude from their perspective of about 250 miles 400 kilometers above the Earth. In the photograph that Cristoforetti took of it, the storm had a well-defined eye, which is a quiet area surrounded by raging and stormy winds, the infamous eye wall. In Maysak, this eye appeared quite anomalous because it was almost a perfect circle and covered an extensive area. Therefore, it was also striking. Seeing a storm from space reveals its unique shape. Sunlit clouds at the top of the eye wall go a great distance into the air, the remaining part beneath them being distinctly darker and more agitated. Even though it may not be seen from a distance, inside those clouds lies heavy rain and thunderstorms, adding to the sheer force of this hurricane. You can see how big the storm is when you look at it from space. Typhoon Maysak stretched over hundreds of miles with rings of clouds spiraling outwards away from the central eye. These curved bands contain tight groupings of thunderstorms, which give out heavy rain and high-speed air currents. When it comes together, the large size of the storm alongside the great quantity of energy involved emphasizes just how much power and intricacy are behind these kinds of things that happen in nature. The Typhoon Maysak was observed by the ISS crew members using satellites, and this has shown how space-based monitoring helps people know more about such occurrences. This data is essential when it comes to giving warnings early enough so as not to be caught unawares during calamities like tropical cyclones, which may hit very populated regions, example, towns or cities along its way. Not only does Samantha Cristoforetti capture the beauty and terror of Typhoon Maysak with her photo, but she also reminds us about the powerful forces at work on our planet. In other words, astronauts from the safety of space can watch these natural wonders, thereby helping to increase our understanding of the Earth's dynamic systems, while at the same time assisting us in preserving life on land. People all over the world have been astounded and mesmerized by the unusual and spooky space photos from the Hubble Space Telescope showing strange celestial bodies called cyclops. They manifest scared awe in everybody. They call forth deep-seated fears in us, as well as deep interest in everything we do not yet understand, and act as a constant reminder about how immense and strange everything is in the world we live in. By challenging our perceptions of scale and reality, they show us landscapes and phenomena that do not correspond to the earthly ones we are used to. We see this in the ghostly figures of nebulae, or when Jupiter's single eye stares at us. This is where certain celestial bodies appear as mere dots in front of an immense star field. Nonetheless, there is also wonder in this fear. These images make us think deeply and satisfy our thirst for knowledge by asking ourselves essential questions alluding to our cosmic position and the beginning of life. They beckon us to study the scientific manifestation behind them, which shows how these heavenly bodies were formed, and may also lead one to a glimpse of how the universe was born and may come to extinction. To sum up, as unfamiliar and vast as some pictures from space may appear quite terrifying to people, they still reveal just how amazingly varied and complicated the world is in which we live, showing darkness and brightness, secrets and revelations, though we know that they are available only outside of the earthly dimensions.